Nate's winking at me already. We haven't even had that much beer. I'm already getting some winks from Nate over there. He's feeling feeling spicy.
He's dry.
Today.
What's a non-alcoholic beverages were you getting into earlier?
Welcome, folks. Beer Guys Ready. We're back in the studio. We were off last week for our live stream because we went down. Bob, we had a Cask Ale festival here in Atlanta.
Awesome.
So we went down and did that last week, and that was our show for last week. We talked to a few people there. A couple you may have heard of. You know a fellow named Mitch Steele?
Yeah,
ever heard of that guy? So Mitch was there. We got to chat with him, and we talked to Charlie Mears from Magnanimous.
Magnanimous.
Tough name to say.
Of Tampa.
Yeah, that is. It's a mouthful.
Yeah. But this week, the party is all about Foam Brewers, Burlington, Vermont, a great beer town. Great radio station there. Thank you to our friends at WVMT for carrying Beer Guys Radio. We have a very good listener base there. Lots of good chat from the folks in Burlington.
A lot of beer drinkers too.
A lot of beer and beer drinkers up there, right? So not a bad place to be. Well, good deal. Awesome. Right. Well, folks, if you're watching the live show, we gotta say hi to our buddy Stephen Pete. Steven, cheers to Kettle Rock Brewing. Thanks for joining us, man. Talking some Vermont beer this week. So awesome. Well, we're going to get this rock and rolling. If you are watching the live stream, you have any questions for us, for Foam Brewers, you want to talk trash about Brian's beard, just leave it in the chat. We'll be
Nobody
back.
Ever does, though.
They don't.
That's
they
the
like
part.
you. They like your wizard beard there. That's right. So, y'all, we're going to do this. We'll be back in just a few minutes.
Open up a tab, grab a seat, and pour a pint. It's time for the Beer Guys Radio Show.
You want free beer? Go to the brewery.
Dedicated to the art, science, and enjoyment of craft beer.
Yo, what's wrong with the beer we got?
Now, here are your hosts, Tim Dennis and Brian Hewitt.
Welcome to the Beer Guys Radio Show. We are broadcasting from the Beer Guys Radio Studios in Marietta, Georgia. This week, we're talking with Foam Brewers. I'm Tim Dennis, and with me, as always, is my good friend and wizard, Brian Hewitt.
That's right. It's me, Tim the Wizard. Joining us today, we have Robert Grimm, the head brewer and co-founder of Foam Brewers. We're going to talk about IPAs, a big nomination for them, community engagement, and recent collaborations. Robert, thanks for joining us.
Thank you guys for having me.
Absolutely, man. Good to talk to you. We're big fans of the beer up there in general, really. Foam Brewers and all that Vermont has to offer. Not a bad place to be for beer, huh?
Good beer scene.
Yeah, absolutely. Some say it's the Mecca.
It is. We have to take it. We have so many invitations up there, and we've yet to take advantage of it. We can go up to the Lager Brewery. I can't believe it's escaping me.
Oh,
yes, yeah.
Trap Lodge.
Yeah,
yeah.
So go up there
and
get around to lots of good beer. But
I mean, you may as well wait for the summer.
What's that?
You may as well wait for the summer.
Wait for the summer.
Yeah, beer right now.
Yeah, gotcha. What's the weather up your way right now?
Oh man, it's probably under 10 degrees.
Brutal.
It's supposed to get down to, I think on Saturday, it's supposed to get down to -11.
That's terrible.
Wow.
Horrible.
That's terrible. We're it's a little cold snap here. It was only like 56 today here.
Oh, it sounds horrible.
So we understand.
It's been rough.
Yeah. It has been rough.
We accept your thoughts and prayers.
Yes. Brian, we are currently drinking a Pilsner from Foam Brewers called Compact Disc. And a few years ago, I think Pilsner, Bob, I think this would have been an underrated style, don't you? Maybe just a few years ago?
Oh, I mean, absolutely. I would say in a lot of ways it still is.
Yeah, I think. How is the Pilsner scene there now that I say that?
It's changing. I'm happy about it. I think that a lot of things in beer kind of there's ebb and flow. A lot of things, just like fashion, come into like fashion, I guess.
Yeah, right.
After time, cyclical, and I'm happy to see that lager's coming back into vogue because I like drinking them. That's my go-to after a long day, and I think people are just starting to appreciate the simplicity of it, the ease of drinking a Pilsner, and just lager in general. I think is coming back, but I think that we're probably going to get to that later.
Yeah, I think I'd agree, and I'm glad for it. I've been predicting for a few years now that it was the next big thing, and I knew that if I just keep predicting that year after year after year, that I'd eventually eventually be right.
And as I said the last time you said that, a stop clock is right 2 times a day. So
and
there you go.
then I can brag about being right about the trends.
Exactly.
But on that note, though, there are I saw something today from VinePair. They did an article where they talked to 15 brewers and asked them what the underrated beer styles were. So I know we always have opinions on things, Brian. That's
Indeed,
kind of how we do
yes.
it. But Bob, what do you think a currently underrated beer style is?
Oh man. I mean, I think that's kind of a tricky question because I think that people's preferences for beer styles in particular are pretty different depending on where you are. I bet that Vermont's preference, or an underrated style, I should say, in Vermont is probably totally different than where you guys are, or California, Colorado. You know, there's pockets of different preference, I think. Just, you know, traveling and, you know, a lot of friends in the industry doing collabs and stuff like that. It just seems like some places are, I don't know if it's ahead of the game or, you know, just people like different things. But I do think, going back to the lager conversation, I do think that lager in general as a whole is underrated. But again, I think it's coming back. And I think that I bet a lot of people on that list said something in the lager vein. I'm curious to see how obscure the beer styles are that they say are underrated. But I know that we've always, at Foam here, we've always been big believers in the lager movement and just, you know, the classic styles in general. And you got to find the balance between what people are going to be drinking and what you respect and appreciate in a beer, and you know, of course, the cliche thing, what I like to be drinking. So finding that balance is important. But I would say, if anything came to mind, it would be just lager beer in general.
Okay. And that's, you know, talking about differences in different parts of the country. And I think there's always the discussion about like comparing America and Europe, and you'll have someone in England talk about, well, in America, so-and-so, but America is big. I mean, we're like all of Europe. So to compare us to one country or one pocket there, it's tough to do, because when we talk about lagers, and I think everybody kind of thinks that their bubble of life is the norm, whatever's going on within their range of vision, so to speak. So
Yeah, absolutely.
We've had a pretty good lager come up here, say the last 4 years, maybe?
Probably, yeah.
And we have at least half a dozen or more breweries that's their focus. And, you know, Halfway Crooks here, Arches was one of the early ones that did it. We've got
the Lager
Trip
Lab,
Brewing.
wasn't that what they call it?
Yeah, and Good Word, they do a lot of styles, but a lot of lagers there. So here I just kind of thought, hey, lagers are catching on everywhere. But I've heard of, sorry, go ahead.
Well, also, I mean, my perspective, because of what you just said, is skewed. We're in Vermont, so it's the land of hoppy beer. And I mean, really only one brewery that comes to mind is what you mentioned before, Trap. They're the only brewery that seems to really have leaned into, from the beginning, focusing on lagers in Vermont. And it is kind of interesting, but I have been seeing other breweries in Vermont kind of increasing the lager production and just varying. Like, there's a lot more variety out there for lagers. It's not just pilsners. There's dark lagers, there's smoked lagers, all sorts of things. But again, hoppy is still king in Vermont for sure. Yeah,
definitely. Well, I tell you what, so here's VinePair's list, and we'll share a link on this. I'm not going to go through who said what, but what was on the list was Hefeweizen, British bitters, brown ales, which is wrong. They're not underrated. They're just not a good beer. Rock beer, American Pale Ale, ESBs, table beer, amber ale, Helles Lager, IPLs, interesting one, a Bavarian style wheat, and Baltic porters. Those were what the list said. So any thoughts on any of them?
Hefeweizen, that's a good one. I feel like that is an underrated beer.
Yeah, that didn't used to be the case. Maybe it's just one of those that's outside of its cycle right now.
Right, exactly.
Hef and Amber used to be kings. They are no longer. They are poppers in the beer world for sure.
Amber Ale definitely used to be one that was there. You'd see that. Blondes.
We actually just
had their day. What's that?
We just brewed an Amber Ale for the first time ever.
See?
Yeah.
coming back.
And actually,
man.
that's one of the ones I think we're going to be getting into a little bit later. But
we will.
I think we're running close to being out of time. We need to get into beers of the week.
Beers, as I mentioned, from Foam Brewers, we're drinking Compact Disc right now, which is a Pilsner. We've also got Canvas, their Pale Ale. We got some other half beers. We had a little broccoli before the show, Brian, making sure to, get our veggies there.
That's right.
And then we're going to have all 100,000 trillion everything.
Yes.
Which is a hazy Tippa.
Yes,
Brian,
indeed.
Tippa. Also, we're going to do a little comparison here, Brian, which got Twitter a little heated when you posted it over there. I have not done this yet, but you have both the New Belgium OG recipe, Fat Tire,
yes,
as well as Fat Tire 2.0.
Correct.
So at some point we will try those side by side and
see what we think.
What's up there. What do you think of that recipe change on Fat Tire?
It's an interesting move. I guess
Right?
I wouldn't have expected that. I think that I always think it's a good thing to try to evolve and try to change things up if something's not working. I think the worst thing you could do is be stagnant. But I mean, completely changing something that has been the bread and butter for ever is it's interesting. I'm curious to see how it's going to work out for him.
Yeah, I kind of thought the same thing, that it would be interesting to see. No doubt this was a very, very calculated move by New Belgium. It wasn't something they're just like, hey, let's do this. So did they do it? The name recognition there. Did they do it because the controversy in the chatter would promote the new recipe and bring it back up? You know,
it's kind of a genius move, because if it goes poorly and it's really strongly rejected, it drums up interest in the original brand, and they can go back to it and will have an inflated sales for at least a period of time afterwards.
They can
and if it works, yes, and if it works, exactly, they can new coke it. And if it works, then it just works, and all the controversy just gives them more. It's actually kind of genius if it weren't a little on the dishonest side.
Sure.
Yeah, they have all the branded marketing assets. They just can swap it over, like you're saying. It is pretty interesting. They have the flexibility.
Correct.
Because they've got guys like us and all kinds of other bloggers and tweeters and everything talking about it right now.
Absolutely.
Right. Congrats, New Belgium. You're listening to the Beer Guys Radio Show. We do need to get us a break in here, but we will be right back with more from Foam Brewers.
What's the name of this Pilsner? This is really hitting me.
Compact Disc.
This is really hitting me just right.
Is it hit different than some others, Brian?
I wouldn't say that, but maybe. I don't know.
Bob, my new obsession is sneakers.
Oh no.
And well, the thing I was going to say is I go on that. I'm not young, Bob. I'm not a 20-year-old. I'm not an 18 to 20-year-old anymore. And their idea of fashion and their Riz. Do you know what Riz is?
I have no idea.
Like if you say I got no Riz,
I don't even know.
They got no Riz.
No, Mike Nate is probably the youngest.
That's because me and Nate are young and hip. We know these things. So,
what is it?
It's
hello, fellow kids.
It's kind of like short for charisma, and it's basically talking about your game. Like you got they got no Riz, they got no game. So,
sweet. I'll have to incorporate that.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm still worried about all these kids who have lost their caps. I mean, it's a real problem. Yes.
You should do a slang series of beers, Bob, and do no Riz. Definitely needs a beer called No Riz. But no, so I was just going to say that following this stuff on the sneaker forum, seriously, like a month can make a difference in whether something's fashionable or not, according to them. Like it's just nuts. I can't even imagine being young and trying to keep up with fashion anymore. So
when I was younger, I rejected it out of hat just because I knew how quickly it moved over and how silly it was, and like how much it would cost to do that. Also, I was broke.
Rejected what?
The whole idea of following any kind of fashion. I didn't care about anything. That couldn't afford it, for one. That was a big motivating factor. And it was like, well, this is only going to be good for like 3 months, and then it'll suck, and everybody will want something else. And
up here in Vermont, there's no like high fashion. It's like it's a little bit easier for us up here. It's like throw on the Carhartts or the flannel or the classic Vermont look, and that's the fashion up here. So anything in between is you're going above and beyond.
Pull in your Canadian tuxedo.
Yeah, right.
Vermont. Carhartt, maybe a nice plaid flannel. So it'd be good to go. No, that's my attempt at fashion was when polos like Z Cavaricci and Gerbeau jeans were popular. Reeboks were hot. British Knights. There was these sneakers called Kangaroos. Bob, you look considerably younger than me. Do you know Kangaroo sneakers?
Oh yeah, of course.
Okay,
Well, that's
okay.
the whole brand.
Okay, yeah. So and Swatch watches, man. I really dug the Swatch watch era. Those were fun.
I remember those, and I always thought those were for kids. So for a little bit of time, when I first got a paper route and thought I was rich, I went around and bought the silk shirts. Were hot. Everybody's wearing silk shirts, so I had a few of those.
You were wrong.
They were hot in my area. A lot of people had them, and I realized they were extremely uncomfortable. No, you would think so. Like, I don't know why it was such a big thing, but
back in 1990, when Brian was a 60-year-old Cuban dude in
exactly.
Havana.
That's right. I would have, had I known about Guayaberas back then, I would have been wearing those all the time because those are awesome.
Yeah.
All the pockets and everything, good for cigars, but
pockets.
back then it would have been good for whatever other dumb thing you need to put in there.
Fun. Yeah, it's interesting following. And I've noticed that what is hot and cool in this, like, answer me this, Nate. Is it okay to buy low top sneakers?
What you like is what you like.
No. Is it okay? What does society say
There's
about
an
that?
answer.
I don't follow the forums.
Okay. Yes, you're fine buying low tops. Is it okay to buy high top sneakers?
Yeah.
Yes, you're right. Is it okay to buy mid sneakers? No.
No,
God,
never.
no. Terrible.
Never. No.
So yeah, it's crazy, man. Crazy.
I don't even know what that means. Mid. I don't.
So they're just a little higher than like your low tops. The back, like, high tops have the
a lot of
mids
stuff.
are just like this, man. But that apparently that is unacceptable.
So that
Right,
Dude,
Bob?
it's funny. I mean, we're in the brewing world. I feel like Extra Tough is a big brand for the the rubber boots. Apparently, it's also big in Seattle for like the fish piers or whatever. But people comment on the brew boots constantly. Like the brown and yellow, like classic ones. And I've been seeing more and more people wearing Extra Toughs around town here. So that's just to give you an idea of what Vermont style is all about. Like
that's awesome, man.
I think we're on different levels
awesome.
here.
That it's funny you mentioned the brew boots because I was watching in my sneaker quest. We've got there's a brewery here called Atlantucky that is owned by the Grammy nominated rap group Nappy Roots.
Oh, cool.
And they recently put out a new video for their song called Box of Chocolates. And in part of it, one of the dudes, Skinny DeVille, who is one of the brewery owners, he changes sneakers up a couple times. He's got Nikes on one time, and he's got some New Balance on another time. And then I'm watching, and Fish Scales, who is the other one, they like show them sitting on a park bench, and Skinny's got like his Nikes on, and Scales is on there in full Brewers boots in a wrap.
he's gonna make them hot.
Like,
that's gonna be the next hot thing. Everybody be just wearing Brewers boots.
That's what I'm saying. saying.
I think he said he wears those around a good bit. So Steven had a comment there on Burlington and Trap Brewing. So what do we got here?
So they said they visited.
Okay, cool. Foam on the Lake in Burlington a few years ago from Kettle Rock. Cool.
Very cool.
You know what? We can't talk about that just yet. It's a later topic in the show. It's actually interesting that you say that because we were going to talk about that, Steven. So we'll get to that.
And the answer is absolutely.
Yeah. Trapberries. Yeah. I really enjoyed the chat.
That's the Song of Music brewery, right? They're the relatives
Yeah.
of people.
Yeah,
Song
that's
of Music
exactly what it is.
on La Trappe. Yeah.
Yep. Good stuff, man.
Yeah.
Good stuff.
And was it their Pilsner that was so good that we had had them on the show and they sent it here? It was
everything
just amazing.
they did was really nice. And I think
they make great beers.
Yeah. I think we talked to them, Bob, before lagers started getting cool here. So it was probably 3-4 years ago for us, right?
Who'd you talk to? Do you remember?
Oh man, I'd have to. You know what?
We'd have to
a
go
lot
dig
of
that
times,
up.
if it's more than a year or two old, I have to Google my own website to remember who it was.
That's okay. I do the same thing on Untapped with our beers.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, I could. Let me see if I can bring that up real quick. Beer Guys Radio Trap. Or is it just Trap? Is it? I keep saying La Trappe, but La Trappe is the Trappist brewery.
Is the
it?
Belgian one, right?
Yeah.
Von Trapp. Von Trapp. That's right. That's
Von
right.
Trapp.
Yeah, Von Trapp.
That's right.
My bad, guys. Let's see. Von Trapp. I found it. Episode 2018 in June.
Okay,
Episode
5 years ago.
127.
All right.
Let's see if I can find out who we talked to. Oh yeah, brings back memories.
One of my friends,
JP Williams.
Yeah, JP. Yeah, and we know JP pretty well, or very well, I should say. One of my friends from high school is a brewer over at Trap now.
Oh, it did triple. Okay, cool, man. Yeah, so much good stuff there. Oh, thank you, sir. Thank you.
Did you put a little too much foam?
You know
in that?
what, man? I thought I was going to make it, but seriously, like 2 drips. I poured my foam too hard and got too much foam. So nice head retention on that.
Yeah, thanks.
Yeah, holding on. We'll let Brian get poured up here, and then we'll jump back in.
All right. I don't want to hold things up. Oh, there's a bag of pork rinds hiding back there.
There is some pork rinds back there, yes. How's that one? Is that one past muster? No? All right, good. Cool. All right, let's do this.
Follow the Beer Guys on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Now, back to the Beer Guys Radio Show.
Shake it back!
Welcome back to the Beer Guys Radio Show. Remember, all episodes are available on demand, so if you missed the broadcast, get the podcast. Beer Guys Radio is available on the Podcast Park and all popular and unpopular podcasting apps. Now let's get back to Foam Brewers.
Bob, we looked a little bit into your background. If I read correctly, found correctly, you were an R&D brewer for Switchback at one time. Is that correct?
Yes. Yeah, I was.
All right. So do you have a passion for the smoky beers, the smoky malts and such?
I would definitely not say that I have a passion for that.
Okay. Fair enough. Fair enough. All right.
The hesitation there was telling.
That was all of that stuff happened after I left.
Okay. Gotcha.
The owner of Switchback, well, previously, because ESOP now, he's really into German beers, and a lot of the stuff that came out after I left and a couple other people, it kind of gravitated toward that smoky avenue.
Ron Cherry?
Bill Cherry.
Bill Cherry.
Not to be confused with Buck Cherry.
Right. I can't keep up with them all. I really can't, man. I really can't. But let's see. So with that, how did you get into brewing? Was it through Switchback or?
No, well, it's kind of a long story, I guess, but I'll make it brief. Went to college for food science and human nutrition. And then I realized that, the program I was in was kind of pushing people into working in a hospital, and specifically in dietetics and stuff like that. And I remember specifically the moment that I realized I absolutely did not want to continue on that path. It was going into a dialysis lab, which I'm not a huge fan of blood to begin with, and just wasn't for me. And I at the same time, roughly, my dad got a homebrew kit for Father's Day or something, and did that with him. Had a really great time, and it was cool because I was applying what I was learning in school to the process of fermentation and all that, and I fell in love with it. And then I started thinking I want to make steps toward maybe going into this as a career. And so at the time, there weren't a lot of opportunities where I was going to college to get into the brewing industry. There was only one brewery in town, I believe. And this was Plattsburgh, New York, across the lake from Burlington here.
Okay, gotcha.
And so I went into the one brewery that was open and asked the guy if I could hang out and be an apprentice, I guess, and have an internship. And he was a little apprehensive at first. He was like, I'm a one-man show. I've never done this before. He ended up saying okay. And I met a couple people on like a homebrew forum at the time as well, and linked up with them in town. We ended up forming a homebrew club in Plattsburgh called North Country Homebrewers. And it was just a couple dorky guys like myself getting together and talking about beer. And it ended up growing into like 50 or 60 people by the time I left. And anyway, so I was also doing the apprenticeship at the brew pub, 7 Barrel Brew House. It was like an old school DME copper, showcase kind of.
Oh yeah. Right.
But just, a small setup, and they didn't have enough people coming in to have a lot of turnover on beers, but it was a great place to learn, kind of get shown the ropes on things. The guy that I learned from originally, Jay Stoyanov, he went to UNH for biology, so he's a science-minded guy, which I appreciated, and he explained things in a way that totally made sense to me. And he said something to me at the time that was very impactful, and he was like, "Here, clean the tanks, scrub the floors, essentially do all the shit work," for two reasons, because he didn't want to do it, obviously, and the other reason he told me he wanted to take the romanticism away from brewing. And if I still wanted to do it after that, then I should pursue it. And,
fair. Yeah.
And I loved that. And I loved all that physical labor part of it. I like working with my hands and like figuring problems out and everything that is involved in making beer. And so he was a huge part of my start in my introduction to like commercial beer making. And then came over to Burlington, did a tour of all the breweries over here. And I saw that Switchback was going to be hiring. They were kind of scaling up. At this time, they were just draft only in Vermont, and they were getting a bottling line. So anyway, got hired straight out of college, started flipping kegs, filling kegs on the keg line for way too long. And eventually worked my way up to the R&D brewer where we were doing all the new stuff. And I got to work side by side with a gentleman named Todd Hare, and he previously, before he was a Switchback, was the brewmaster at Magic Hat for 13 years. And when Magic Hat kind of sold to NAB at the time, a little bit before that, he wanted to change a pace, I guess you could say. So he went to the local brewery, which was Switchback. That's how he started there. A year before he hired me, and one of my now partners, Sam Keene, as well. Same time, went to school randomly for about like roughly the same thing. And anyway, the R&D pilot brews, I guess, with Todd was a great experience to, get to know him and learn from someone that's been there. Magic Hat was a really cool brewery back in the day that was doing some really cutting edge things in a lot of ways. Very creative. And I learned a real lot from that guy. And then, so Sam and I, we were, talking about starting, writing a business plan and starting a brewery. And we wanted to invite Todd to be a part of it right from the beginning. And so we introduced it to him. And, it's thinking back, it's kind of insane because he was just a shithead kid at the time. And somehow convinced him to come on board. So the three of us are who got foam kind of up and running. And then we asked two other people to be partners, John Farmer and Dan Casey, and to do the stuff that wasn't brewing. So we need like HR, bookkeeping, marketing, and all that stuff. And so, but that's why foam is called Foam Brewers, is because it was started by three brewers, and that's where the passion lies. And I wanted to make it a part of our identity that we're in it for the beer.
So you know what? That's probably a good time to segue. Beer foam has been a hot topic. Brian, you found a review that commented on foam's foam.
So I was looking around, and this kind of ties into a little bit of our conversations at the cask ale tasting as well earlier. But in the review, it said, quote, "My glass was not filled, so that was a bummer. Too much foam at Foam Brewers, I take it, as it was 4/5 full of beer." So
4/5.
The idea that you have to get a boss pour every time is such a weird thing to me. Like,
the Iceman pour.
The Iceman pour. Yes, the boss pour.
I feel like where you are, there would be more people educated to a proper pour. But do you still get a lot of people that want that filled to the brim?
I wouldn't say it's a lot of people. And just to backtrack a little bit, when we opened up our logo, not the Foam Brewer script, but the glass, that's the Bristol glass, and that's kind of identity of like the hoppy beer. And so we decided we wanted to have people really experience drinking a beer. And so we decided from the beginning we weren't going to do flights, which really upset a lot of people in the beginning because it was essentially the standard here to have the option for flights, try everything, But when you're like banging through flights, in my opinion, of course, you're not really experiencing, the beer that you're drinking. You have to. Todd has a saying, 3 sips to enlightenment, and you have to kind of sit there and really like think about what you're drinking. Otherwise, you're chasing the other beer that you just slugged down the 1 ounce of it. So we did. It's a 16-ounce glass with 8 and a 12-ounce pour line, and so you can buy a 12 ounce or an 8 ounce, and you fill the beer level to that line, and then the rest is the foam. So really, you're actually getting a deal because you're paying for, let's say, 12 ounces, but as we all know, foam is 30% beer, and of course, who wants a flabby looking beer? Foam is an important part of the aesthetics.
You gotta have it there, man.
Yeah.
You really do.
Well, and
we got to educate the world for those that still don't know.
And
a lot of people that say that, we have a lot of people that come from out of state too, and
right, yeah,
all over the place, really. And so, I'm not saying that the people that complain about it are, but they're very, very far and few between at this point.
I figured.
There's a lot of flavor and aroma in that foam, believe it or not.
There is, Brian. You're right. We need to take a break. You're listening to the Beer Guys radio show. We'll be right back with more from Foam Brewers.
Now, this review wasn't on Untapped or one of those places.
You said it was like TripAdvisor.
I think it was like
something?
TripAdvisor.
Yeah.
So the people the people rating it probably weren't the biggest in terms of beer, and they actually said in the review they weren't big fans of the beer either. So like,
there's not even.
You probably went to a place that it has a heavy emphasis on IPA and did not care for IPA. So that's your first mistake right there.
Bob, quick request here. Since we are on the radio, we cannot swear in our segments. So just a heads up. Twice, Bob, twice.
We're keeping track.
Yeah.
Sorry.
That's okay. It's easy enough to edit, but just a heads up.
Just put a buck in the swear jar and you'll be fine.
Right.
Yeah.
The virtual swear jar. We need to get us a QR code.
Yeah,
your phone up and scan this.
We might actually make some decent money off of that, based on some of the people we've talked to.
Yeah,
in between, it's not a big deal.
Right now, it's a bottle opening sound for our sensor sound.
Oh, nice.
But we'll put the tip jar thing up, and then we'll use like a cash register.
Yeah,
yeah. What's bad though is I didn't even. Like I can't even think of the time that I did. So
yeah, I'm actually pretty proud. I don't think we've slipped, and I'm surprised because when I'm just sitting around BSing, there'll be a few. I'm not a potty mouth, but
I'm not really either.
We talked to some guys from a brewery in Ireland.
Yeah,
and we're like, hey guys, just a heads up, we are on the radio here, so we can't swear. And the one brewer goes, oh, fook. Yeah. He legitimately looked stressed out. He's like, this isn't gonna be hard. And he was right because he said it like 3 times during the show.
At one point in time, I think you could actually get by with saying "fook" on the radio because it's not the same word.
Sure.
That's F-O-O-K. I mean, obviously,
better safe than sorry with it. I was like, I don't want some Irish guy to hear it, like some Irish cardinal in New York City who listens to Beer Guys radio. He's like, oh, I can't believe.
Did you hear what these fucking lads said?
Right? Yeah. Unacceptable.
Yes, that would be terrible. Terrible.
Cool.
That's
Brian. I don't know if we want to get into the fat tire tasting during the show.
Oh, we could do it.
I don't think we want to take up his time.
No. Yeah, we could do it in between or after. You know what? After everything is recorded.
We could. So how about all 100,000 trillion everything?
Yeah, we could do that. Yeah,
we'll go to that next. What are you sipping on, Bob?
I'm drinking a lager, of course.
Okay, good.
We did a collaboration with a chef friend of ours who has ties to Mexico and LA. Nice. And he actually was visiting some family in Mexico and brought back sent some ingredients when he was there. And we ended up doing a beer called Himno Eterno, and it's a Michelada inspired lager. So
go on.
Did like a naturally fermented chili, essentially hot sauce, and added that to the beer. And some lime zest. And really nice and light, 3.2%.
I am known for my love of the Michelada.
And
so I'm a fanboy there.
I actually had a question about that specific beer too. We can get into that later though.
Beer.
This I'm a fan of this one we just poured. How is that, Tim? Does that have the bitter? Is it excessive in the bitterness?
There, man.
Is there? Okay.
It's not strong, but it's more than I want in my juicy hazy. Yeah. That's thick.
Even Tippa? Because that is Tippa.
Yeah, I know. Which maybe
What are you guys thinking?
it is an other half.
All 100,000 trillion everything. Triple India Pale Ale.
Oh, okay.
Yes. It's I became aware that we could have that shipped directly to us. So it's like, well, maybe I'll try that out.
Welly.
I was like, no, this is ridiculous. Why would I do that? We've got plenty. And then I think I had a beer or something like that later on. I'm like, oh, I'm going to do this.
We've got 2 fridges in our studio, Bob, that literally never run out of beer. You know, we'll have people come in, friends drop off beers. Brian's putting beer in one fridge and it's full, and he goes to the other one. He's like, oh, this is pretty full too. I thought we were almost out. I'm like, no, you didn't. No, you didn't.
Well,
You're just saying that because you wanted to buy more beer.
I forgot about all the Wild Leap ones in there. I was thinking about
Because
all we have
beer
left.
guys, you can't run out of beer.
Yeah, that's it. We're no shortage of beer.
I was thinking
here.
we might be running low and be back to whatever was left over from the Christmas show, because we did get a lot of Christmas beers. So.
We did. But yeah, it's we do pretty good at keeping the supply replenished there. I mean, you know,
we do. Oh,
we're
yes.
good at inventory control on the beers. So
Yeah, we'll send you a mixed case of some stuff we're excited about too.
I appreciate that, man. Very nice. Awesome.
I would really enjoy that.
Always enjoy trying the new beers. Yeah, it's cool. I didn't know you were distributed here. Nate went by and he used to work for, they're distributed through Modern Hops. So he used to work for Modern Hops distribution.
Oh, cool.
So he was like, hey, yeah, they're distro through Modern Hops. So he grabbed it.
Yeah,
because I went
occasional drops. It's not a steady flow of beer.
See, that's
Modern Hops is good like that.
Like similar things where it's like, yeah, if we got a little bit, we'll send you guys some beers, you know.
Yeah, right.
Like that, so.
After doing the other half thing, I looked at their website just to see what you could order and where it would ship. It does not ship here, but I think you get down as far as Virginia or DC or something like that with your shipping. I think that's right. Yeah.
Yeah, DC, exactly.
DC.
Okay.
Yeah. I was like, oh, maybe I could do a little. It's like, oh, denied.
Denied to DC. You know what, though? If other half's doing it, then others are as well. So we're trying to figure out exactly how they're pulling this trick, Bob, because they use a third-party shipper, and the way our alcohol laws work, the only thing we can figure is that shipper is set up as a retailer in our state. Because as far as we know, that's the only way they could deliver beer to us here.
I would like to volunteer to be that guy as long as they pay me in beer.
Yeah.
That's I was wondering, because I didn't think that at least for us, I didn't think that Georgia was an option.
Yeah, it's not. I don't remember the other one, but I've seen maybe 2 or 3 breweries now that do the third. I know that Modest.
Oh, Modest, yeah.
Modest does. Modest does it. So
yeah, it's Modest, I think.
Really looking forward to the Hormel chili cheese beer that I've got coming in the mail, Bob. Can't wait to try that one.
It's gonna be fantastic.
Yeah. That's we get some grief occasionally from people. We don't. You know what? I like trying stuff because I know it's going to be ridiculous. But when was it Sierra Nevada did the mustard beer, the French's mustard beer?
They did, yeah.
I expected that to be horrid. It was not.
It was actually pretty good.
It was actually pretty tasty.
Here's the thing people don't realize. They saw the Hormel thing and they saw chili cheese beer. It's actually, I think, heavy on the corn to replicate corn chips. So I think it's people that think it's going to taste
chili pie beer.
Yeah, so people think it's going to taste like chili or something like that, and I don't think it's going to taste like that at all. Now I don't know what it's going to taste like, but
it has to. It is a Hormel chili cheese beer. If there is not the flavor of chili and cheese in there, they have failed in their mission.
I think there'll be hot peppers and a lot of corn, but I don't know. I don't know.
Unless it just goes with chili really well.
That's what I was thinking. That was their angle. So you may be disappointed by this, but I may be completely wrong. We'll find out. I'm almost willing to make a large blind bet with you to bet that you're wrong. So I read something that led me to believe that the initial indications people had or the impressions people had were wrong and intentionally wrong. They were misled a little bit to stimulate talk and outrage and hype and everything else. It's all about the marketing,
man. Yeah.
I think you should make the bet, and whoever loses the bet has to shotgun that beer.
That's the only problem.
That's
is
a
either one of us-
win-win. I mean,
we'll
I'm
chug the
down
beer.
for that.
Yeah, we'll do it.
All right,
So,
let's go.
yeah, we've tried a few that like we know. We had a few weeks ago Hard Mountain Dew. It was horrendous. I don't know if you ever tried it, but
That was the watermelon. We have several more.
It's pretty horrendous.
What's that?
I said I have not tried it, but I would imagine it's pretty horrendous.
Yeah, it is. It's awful, and that's we try. But see, then again, I also get like Bud Light canned michelada. I love it.
Yeah.
I'm totally okay with that. So.
We only just had that watermelon one. Well, we had the original too. There are a couple others.
There's
and I think
others in there to hate
is there
as
a
well.
Baja Blast in there?
I think there is a Baja Blast.
Hard Baja Blast.
Interesting.
There's also a Baja Blast chili sauce or hot pepper sauce.
What?
No kidding. Yeah,
Oh, that's
for real.
right.
Yeah, it's a real thing. A
That's
collaboration in
right.
hot sauce. Nothing to do with beer, but I keep seeing it in my timeline because there's been Hard Mountain Dew.
I'm
So
curious
people-
about that. Now that's what I'm curious how
It's
they
bright
went with
blue.
the flavor profile on that.
Because
there are fruity peppers, so you get some fruitiness
sure.
in there and that. So
It's a
I'd
thing.
try it.
It's
I'd
yeah.
try it.
I mean, I would do it too.
Some chicken wings, a little dippy.
It's bright blue. I think that would be the hardest part for me to reconcile. Just a hot sauce that's blue and that color of blue, but
Yeah,
maybe it's good. I don't know.
crazy.
I don't know.
How are the
All
chicken wings down there, by the way?
My man,
Our wings.
we know about chicken wings in
Our
Atlanta.
wings are
That
tight
is,
down here. Tight.
lemon pepper wet chicken wings. That is Atlanta's. It's their iconic signature dish in Atlanta.
Okay,
So
okay.
wings in general, but specifically lemon pepper is our jam. So
All right.
and there's just so in case you make it down here, and you don't waste any time
Oh, I
getting the
will.
wrong wings. Lemon pepper wet can be done a couple different ways. One way they use like a butter-based sauce with lemon pepper, and you can like put that on there and moist. Another way, which is the way that I like them, is it is like buffalo sauce and then the lemon pepper added to it, the
Ooh.
dry lemon
Ooh,
pepper.
yeah.
So
Yeah, I like that.
that's the way I'd like to do my lemon pepper wets.
Dang.
I
I won a wing eating contest one time. Like actually
All right.
here. It was a Reaper wing contest. So
Ooh.
Oh wow.
12 Reaper wings in 12 minutes. Can't have a sip of beer. Can't have a sip of anything. You have to wear gloves and no sauces, and like no blue cheese or anything to cool it down.
Nothing to cool it down, right? Yeah.
Yeah, it was as fiery as you would expect.
So do you like the spice like that, like the Reaper in that level, or
Yeah,
was it just?
I do to some degree. You get the endorphin rush. That's always a good thing.
Yeah.
But it was some serious stomach pains after that one.
I can believe it. As I have said, heat is a flavor, at least to me. I
Okay.
will like something that's bland that has just heat applied to it, as though it were full of, I don't know, salt or MSG or something like that. I don't.
Right.
That's just particular to me, perhaps. But heat is a flavor, I think, and I think it's important.
Yeah,
to
no,
point
I
that
agree
out.
with that.
All right, there you go.
I like, at
There
least
you go. How are the wings up there, man? You got some good wings in
there's
Burlington?
some decent wings, surprisingly. I mean, there's RJ's in town. If you guys make it up here, it's,
Okay, all
like
right.
it's kind of like a college sports bar by day, and then like a odd like nightclub thing at night. But the wings are
Okay.
good. The wings are good.
Has Nashville hot chicken made it up there yet?
No, not really, unfortunately.
Okay, yeah, we've got it. It's we probably have 4 or 5 different places around Atlanta that do it. We've got what's the big one?
Hattie B's. Is
Hattie
it?
B's.
Yeah.
That's one out
yeah,
of Nashville that's here. We've got Joe Ellis, which I'm not a big fan of.
I like the what's the one that's near
The
me?
dry,
Oh, I'm
the
trying
one that does the dry rub.
No, is no.
So, but anyhow, we've got a handful of places, so that's pretty popular here right now too.
We've got there's a
I'm all
place.
about it.
There's a restaurant near me that does a Chambly style, which use Szechuan peppers.
Oh, I remember you talking about that
Amazing.
shit.
That
the
is amazing.
Szechuan,
It's not-
Nashville
That's
hot
bad.
Szechuan.
Yeah, it's like
a
Chambly
whole
hot
nother
chicken
thing.
or
That's
something
like-
like that.
Yeah, talk about like the depth of flavor.
It's
Szechuan.
Oh yeah, right. That
Crazy
would be-
good.
I haven't tried that one. I'd
Oh,
like to
it's
try that.
crazy good. I love it. Yes.
Good stuff. Now I want wings. I want some hot wings.
Yeah.
Some Nashville hot, man. Good
Get you some Chambly hot chicken.
Some
That's-
Chambly
That's
hot
the way
chicken.
it goes.
All right, let's jump back in, fellas.
Oh, we
Yes,
have
sir. Oh, we
3?
got a comment
Oh,
here.
yeah.
Good deal. Ken says he's had the privilege of going up to Vermont every year for work, at least once a year for several years. Since visiting Foam in 2016, he has always stopped in and stocked up the cooler for the drive home.
Awesome.
There you go.
Good call.
Got a fan.
All right, Ken. Next time you're in, ask for Bob.
Give a shout to Bob, Ken. Say, hey, I chatted with you on the Beer Guys radio show.
That's right.
So He'll be like, "You get out of here."
Yeah.
Do you have any lemon pepper wet wings with you? So.
Yeah, bring lemon pepper wet with you, and then you'll be fine.
Yes, please.
All right, let's do it, man. Let's jump back in.
I'm here. Let's go.
Let's do it.
Follow the Beer Guys on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram.
Your revolution is over, Mr. Lebowski. Condolences, the bum's lost.
Now, back to the Beer Guys radio show.
Welcome back to the Beer Guys radio show. I want to give a quick shout out to one of our great radio affiliates, KVTA News Talk 1590 AM and 97.9 FM in Ventura, California. Catch Beer Guys Radio on KVTA every Saturday at 12 a.m. That's midnight. Now let's get back to Foam Brewers.
Brian dropping the knowledge.
Right.
Always good to know these things. Bob, if you're watching the calendar, you will probably notice that it is no longer January. So, we had a lot of people. I saw several people online going for it this year. The dry January.
Yeah.
Dry January. Have you ever tried that, or did anyone at the brewery give dry January a shot?
Actually, yeah, a surprising amount of people tried it, and some of them were successful.
Okay.
But there's a lot of exceptions around here. It's like, oh, I had to taste the beer. I had to, so I could talk about it. Whatever. I get it, but I think it's good to take a break every once in a while, probably for your liver purposes and such. But I don't think that it's good to have restrictions like that. I think it makes you it just makes you want to go harder into it when you get back. It's like the dieting and stuff like that. It's like there's benefit to it within reason, but I mean it's not for me.
I see that, and I actually saw some medical professionals saying similar things, that you don't want to go a month. They're like, yes, it's better than binge drinking for a month, but we didn't try and fool ourselves, Bob. We did moist January, damp January.
Yeah, right.
So that's Brian's was a little damper than mine, I think. But we enjoy trying the non-alcoholic beers there. We're all about beers of all kinds, and we followed athletics since their young days and what they're doing, and we've tried the NA spirits, and we found one. Nate found us a Liars, what do they call it, Italian spritz or something like that makes a nice kind of a gin and tonic, or what's your cocktail that's
it's kind of like a good Negroni or Aperol spritz type of thing, non-alcoholic.
Oh,
they've done a really good job with that.
I just saw that. I think, what was the brand of that one?
Liars.
Like L-Y-R-E.
I tried it. I saw someone reviewing it or something, like a clip of it, but it sounded like it was pretty good. I love a good Negroni.
Liars is a pretty quality brand, and I say that because we've tried a lot of them, and the NA beer is doing pretty good. There's some really good options out there. NA spirits, there's still a little work to be done there, but
more than a little.
Yeah,
but there's a big difference. Like a beer, I feel like is an everyday, potentially all day thing, for some people. But like a cocktail, that's a next level thing. You're going into a cocktail for a reason. Right.
And you did an old fashioned with a old fashioned dish with an NA bourbon, NA whiskey. It's just not quite there. Right. It's the one that you did that was kind of the Negroni or the fake gin and tonic. I could drink that and wouldn't be disappointed if I was in the mood for a gin and tonic at the time.
Yeah.
If I was in the mood for an old fashioned and I did the one that we did, it would not do for an old fashioned for me. But
yeah. I mean, I just think I'm kind of in the mindset of, if you're going to be drinking something that doesn't have alcohol in it, for example, there's so many other non-alcoholic beverages out there that are awesome. Right. Whether you're into kombucha or, even a soda, it's like, why wouldn't you just go to something that is like a better option flavor wise? Because who are you fooling? Yourself?
Man, sometimes you just want that crisp malty goodness with a little bit of hops and stuff there, So
yeah, I mean,
you just need that.
I hear you.
Yeah. But
I think for a lot of people, the carbonation and the bite and various levels of carbonation bite is kind of a big. I guess that's with some of the cocktails. Yeah, but the bite.
Just like the taste of beer,
Yeah.
and you're trying to take it easy on alcohol, there's options there for you.
For sure.
Is basically
Yes.
it.
Oh,
So-
absolutely. Yeah.
Right.
For sure.
Yeah. So Bob, when we were on break, we made ourselves hungry here talking about chicken and wings and all this stuff. But sort of food tangent here. You got a pretty big honor, a pretty big nomination here recently. And
Yeah.
we were
Yeah.
following these with a few couple of our favorites here in Atlanta. But you are a James Beard Award semifinalist for
Yeah.
your, let's see the official title of it, Outstanding Wine and Other Beverages Program, correct?
Yes, that is correct. Yeah, it was
Awesome,
a
man.
very unexpected nomination, and yes, I mean, it still feels kind of surreal, but I mean, again, it's just a nomination so far, but the nomination alone is an awesome recognition of a lot of the stuff that we've done leading up to this, and it kind of touches on some stuff that we've, I guess, struggled with talking about, because a lot of people use, you know, local ingredients, or like do all of the things that we really like kind of made a foundation of who we are from the beginning. And it just feels sometimes a little bit difficult to talk about, because we don't want to feel like we're just using it as a marketing scheme, or like trying to sell a story that's not real. And it's only because of, you know, either past experiences or just seeing other people do that, and it just feels wrong. But like, that is who we are, and that's been something that we've been trying to work on. It's only it doesn't do anyone justice if we don't tell the real story, you know, like the farmers that we work with. It's good for that. It's good for everybody to hear that story and to know what's going on. Vermont agriculture is a really important thing, and there needs to be people that support that and understand what that means. And so long story short, I think that the nomination feels extra good because it kind of encompasses all of that. And of course, the definition of that nomination is heavily focused on like telling that story, and, you know, the front of house, the amazing people that make up foam. And it's not just focused on one person, it's a group effort. And I full-heartedly believe that is the case here. And so it's cool.
Now, with that said, is this does your beverage program go further than beer, or is this nomination specifically for your beer offerings?
We do actually go further than beer. We have house fermentology, which is our mixed culture, like sour beer program, and then a lot of the flavor profiles of those beers have been inspired by the wine world. And I personally like drinking wine, especially natural wine. And I think there's a lot of creativity in that world, and a lot of interesting flavors that are not necessarily traditional, or like modernly traditional at least. And so we tried our hand at making some natural wine, and we started a brand of foam, I guess, if you will, called Natural Hack. And so we've released a few different wines now. We have a bottle conditioned Marquette red wine, bone dry, and it's kind of like a Lambrusco. So it's very jammy. Marquette by nature is jammy, but there's literally no sugar left in it, and has a nice zip with the carbonation for the people that like that. I know I do. We also have a apiary next to house fermentology, where we introduce all of the honey into house fermentology beers for the bottle conditioning process. And so we also did a sparkling mead with, you know, because of the honey connection, obviously.
Sure.
And, but it's not like the mead that you might expect. I think mead gets kind of a bad rap sometimes, you know, like the sweet, like overly boozy sweet ones. It's not necessarily our jam. We really like the highly carbonated, really dry stuff, and that's where we went with the mead. And then we ended up doing a blueberry table wine as well, 6%, and it's all of the sugar that went into that was from the blueberries, the wild Maine blueberries. So it's tart, it's funky, highly carbonated and dry, and so we're having fun with it and seeing where it goes. We're trying we're trying our hand at it, and just like with foam, we want to do the best we can and always strive for better. but we don't want to be the hoity-toity wine people either.
The easy to approach
Or
wine
just-
folks. We had a festival here not long ago called Le Bon that was mixed firm beers, natural wines, and oysters. That our friends over at Good Word put on, and that was a good time. We actually got to is it Crooked Run out of Virginia that does natural wines, I believe.
I think so. I think that's right.
Part of their program is natural wines.
There were a couple in there, yeah.
That was my first exposure to it. I really didn't know anything about natural wines, until talking to them, and it's cool. I mean, it's just
it has a really cool history, like Georgian wine, the amphoras, all of that stuff.
Oh yeah, awesome stuff.
Cool.
Listen to the Beer Guys radio show. We need to take us a break, but we will be right back with more from Foam Brewers.
Out of curiosity, what ABV was that mead you were talking about? Like the sparkling I get, but I'm curious, like what range you're looking at for something
the
like
mead,
that.
I believe, is 11%.
Okay. Because we have a mead local here that it is also carbonated. It's also lighter, but I think they're shooting
session. They do their
like
carb
5
ones are more session.
Yeah, like
meads.
a 5 to 6%
Yeah.
range, and I'm almost
think
thinking
that's cool.
maybe that's a little low, but it's
I don't know. I think there's a range of things that mead is definitely something that, like I said, has kind of a bad rap, and people need to experience different types of mead, different things, just like beer, to get a better understanding, a better grasp on what it is. And I think it's cool to have a lower ABV mead, like a 5%er. Like we were saying before, carbonation adds the je ne sais quoi. Like, I think, I like that. It's refreshing. So we'll see. I mean, it's cool. Like, there's a lot of opportunity for creativity in that world too.
So
it adds that special, I don't know what.
Where our studio is, we could throw a lemon pepper wet wing and hit a meadery.
Yeah,
we're inside of a brewery here called Ironmonger, and the next suite over so it's like our studio, the brewery, and then Viking Alchemist meadery.
Yeah,
there.
Oh, cool.
So, but they do focus on like the sweeter, heavier meads.
And there's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, I dig those. We homebrewed some mead, and you could like slice it with a knife and it'd stand up and yell at you, kind of mead.
It would pick a fight with you after you sliced it. Yeah,
you served it ice cold in like a cordial glass. This wasn't one you take a can of or a glass of. It was have a like a liqueur or
as it aged,
aperitif.
As it aged, though, it got really good warm too. It got really good.
Yeah,
that's the nice thing about the really thick ones is they do improve with age. Now the skinny ones not so much, but it's the thick boys.
The thick boys. I made like a caramel sauce with one of our meads one time where I put like some sugar and a little butter and some of our mead, and then I served it pound cake vanilla ice cream and the mead reduction as a sauce on top.
I believe I mixed it into some maple syrup and had it on pancakes at one point.
There you go.
That was all,
man.
Pirate pancake syrup was the name of the mead. That's right. So it was meant for that. Yes. Indeed.
Mead. Going into segment 4. Cool. All right. Think we've jumped around, but we've hit a lot of stuff here. So
I'm just going to ask this because I don't think we'll get back to it, but I'm going to ask anyway. We had the opportunity to bring it up during the show. I think it's past. Do you do the Mliko pours at Foam Brewers?
Milk.
The what?
Guys, the pronunciation, I looked it up. Milko, but it sounded like Mliko. Mliko.
Oh yeah. We have in the past. We have we have the ability to do it. We are going to be focusing on doing a lager series, which a lot of the Milko pours are lagers, obviously, and so we're going to have a series of lagers that are going to be coming out over the course of the next 12 months, and we actually released the first one recently in the past week or two, a Danish style lager, and we're going to be firing all that stuff up and try to have a different experience with that.
I saw that. Yeah, I saw that you'd come out with that, and that seems really interesting. It's a very recent thing too, right? Just the very beginning of this new wave of lagers.
Yeah, yep, exactly. Yeah, it was the first of 6 that we're going to be releasing this year, and it's an awesome beer, and I really like the artwork. It's a little bit different than the route that we've gone in the past. It's like a classic look, and it just looks good.
I did notice the art on that. That's a cool looking. I think I saw the can for it.
Yeah. I'll send you guys some in that mixed case, but it has a very nostalgic feel to it, and I like that.
What I really want to happen is for you to invite the guy from TripAdvisor back to have a Milko pour.
Oh, like, yes, seriously.
Just as extended olive branch, sir. I would love for you to come back and try.
Oh man, you'd hate that one.
Oh, and that's where I was going to tie it in, because man, the idea of this guy losing his mind, getting a mostly foam in a mug, just
oh yeah, right. I mean, like
delicious.
a Lucre faucet just looks awesome on the wall, on the lineup.
Oh yeah,
and I mean, we've used them for stouts, we've used them for fruited sour beer, all sorts of things. I mean, it adds a different feel to the beer, a different texture, consistency, and I mean, it just looks pretty cool when you're watching that beer being poured into the glass like that too.
Yeah, it's
full body experience.
It's a really interesting thing, drinking an entire glass of foam. We had that at 3 Taverns when they had the Pilsner Urquell collaboration that they did. They had the Lucre taps there. They were. We asked Brian Purcell, the guy there. It's like, can we have this done? Is this a possibility? It's like, you know what? We have it. I think we can. We've just never done it before. So I think we had the inaugural Milko pour at 3 Taverns. Is that correct, Tim? I believe
that was probably a staple.
I don't think he'd done it before. I think we asked for it. He said, "Hold on, I think we can do that," and then he brought us over to us. So I don't think they'd done it prior to that. Yeah, indeed.
Either way, it happened.
So yes, they're just starting a new line of lagers. Tim.
Okay,
so,
cool.
Yeah.
The Milko pour is fun, but it's not the way I want to drink my beer.
Yeah, it's meant to be consumed quickly, I think, right? Just because
like a shot of beer.
You're drinking a glass of like air. Like,
yeah.
Well, like 30% beer with mostly air. So
right. Yeah. I mean, and like that's not how all the Lucre pours are obviously, but I don't know, different strokes. It's fun to try new things.
Yeah, it's fun to try, sure enough.
So I know that I'd seen in videos talking about those different pours that they had. I think they've got 4 different varieties where they're just different levels of foam. It's like the cappuccino, like lattes and cappuccinos.
So there's different cappuccino.
Yeah, there's different levels
latte,
of foam. Swap in foam for
Americano.
milk, yeah. So
Belgian Cano.
And everything from the Boss pour down to the milk pour. So are we doing another one?
What are we doing? What are we drinking?
You said you didn't want to do that on the show.
Not yet. No, because I'm going to try both of them and kind of think about it there. So, sure. Why not? All right.
Oh, you're going cocktail.
Why not?
Okay.
I'll try that.
Do we have any more of this? Wait, not this. The other one. I just had one of those earlier, so I will. Yeah. I'll work on the remainder of this.
Go right ahead.
I really thought that I did not perceive the level of bitterness in this that you do. So
I'm just not a fan in general of.
Yeah. Well, with the haziness.
So is that carbonated or is that just?
I think that's remaining foam in your glass.
Gotcha.
So no, that should be.
I didn't think so.
That should just be straight non-alcoholic cocktail.
There's a little bit in there.
Is there?
It dissipates super quick. Probably just enough carbonation to keep O2.
Could be.
O2 out of there. All right. It's not bad.
Yeah, I think it's okay.
Tasty. Sure.
It took me a second.
You guys were drinking right now. I was grabbing my own beer.
So we just opened. This is Liars. This is one of those non-alcoholic ones we were telling you about. That is a canned. So
RTD cocktail thing.
Oh,
I think this one would pass. Like if you told me this was a. Let me see. Let me take a drink again and see if it would.
It's got the ginger bite to it, which. See, I mean, it's not ginger's not an alcoholic thing, so it makes sense that it would be in there.
There is a toasty sugar in there that could probably pass as a rum.
Okay.
So I dig it. I don't know if it's a dark and stormy. I want like Blackstrap.
Yeah.
You know, the super dark rum. So hell, they probably could have got that using molasses. They probably could have got closer to a true dark and stormy there.
Right.
That's true. Yeah. I just assume based on the name that that's what they're shooting for. And it does have the ginger bite to it. So
yeah, I think that dark and stormy, like there's some flex with what to use, like a real one you're supposed to use, you know, the Blackstrap rum.
I think it's even a specific brand of Blackstrap
Gosling's
rum.
I think is traditional.
Yeah.
But I like Crucian Blackstrap rum more than Gosling's. And you know, I like Fever Tree tonic and ginger beer and all that. So do you do cocktails as well, Bob? You a cocktail fan?
We don't at the brewery. You know, we focus on the beer obviously, but we do have a restaurant called Deep City, and we named Deep City because people, when we were opening foam, were like, "Oh, no one's gonna go there. It's Deep City." First of all, it's barely a city.
Okay, all right, gotcha.
But we're right on the waterfront in Burlington here, and it's an unbelievable view. And of course, now people are like, "Oh man, how'd you get that spot?" But it's because it's easy to be a naysayer when there's nothing down here.
Right.
Anyway, so Deep City is kind of a riff on that, and also we wanted the restaurant to be have its own identity and do its own thing to some degree, even though it's connected. And we have a full bar program over here. So we have cocktails. We have an amazing guy that really has ramped all of that up and is kind of taking that on as his project, which has been great. And we also have a lot of amazing wines and guest beers and also wines and all sorts of stuff going on. And of course, our beer and guest beers as well.
You know, I probably don't have a good bar to set. Funny I say bar because I'm going to talk about bars, Brian. But two of my favorite cocktail programs in the metro area are at brew pubs. Torch Top, their cocktails are great.
Oh, yeah, those are good.
Goodword.
Yeah.
Both Goodword and Torch Top, their cocktails are excellent.
Yeah,
so, talking about the Michelada, I was at Goodword and just asked the bar manager there, "Do you guys do a Michelada?" He's like, "I can." I saw someone get a Bloody Mary, so I asked him, and I saw him behind the bar mixing it, and he mixed it up and he poured it in the glass and he took a straw and he dipped it down in there and took the straw out and took a taste and he sits there a second and he shakes his head and he dumps the whole thing in the sink. And then he mixes up another one. And he does that again. And I think I saw him add a little more mix to it or something. Then he brought it to me. And I'm going to tell you, that's the best Michelada I've ever had. It was really, really, really good.
What Tim doesn't realize is they actually charged him twice for that one.
Yeah, right.
It's $30. So yeah.
You know what? These days, $30, that might be the real price. I don't know.
Get it for $50. He's like, it took me 5 tries to get it, man, but you're going to love it.
You're going to love it. It's worth it.
I mean, in Burlington, people wouldn't even bat an eye.
Crazy,
the best Michelada I had was in Copenhagen for the McKellar back in several years ago. They had like the Brewers like tent or whatever area, and the Micheladas are banging good, and they had like dried crickets to put in there instead of it was interesting and surprisingly not bad.
All right.
I mean,
were the crickets, did they dust them with were they barbecue or ranch or anything like
that? It was like dusted with like a pepper salt.
Pepper? Okay. Yeah.
Peppered crickets.
Bowl of crickets on the counter, a couple cold.
I know, dude. It sounds so fucking weird.
Yeah.
Sorry. Sounds so weird.
It's okay. We're in between radio right now, so we're good.
The antenna really brings out the flavor of the Michelada.
What's the Spanish word they use? Chupacabras, I think is what they call them.
Hey, great source of protein.
That's, I keep hearing
I've
about
heard that
sustainable protein.
I've heard that's I've heard that exactly.
Yeah.
I'm still I'm gonna just let Bear Grylls handle that level of the cuisines for the time being. So I don't know about that. The bugs, I don't know.
Well, do you tried one at Sweetwater that time?
Yeah,
weren't you there? You know what?
Maybe.
So Sweetwater did a collaboration brew with someone for their 420 Fest, and they used dried crickets in it.
Yep.
And they had a jar. We interviewed Nick Knock.
Oh, that's right. I think I probably
and he had a jar of crickets there. And to be quite honest, Bob, I'm like, all right. it's like a little dry, crunchy piece of thing. You know,
Yeah,
I'm not appalled. I'm not, you know, so.
Yeah,
now,
exactly.
I will say that the time I've spent eating food from Southeast Asia, where they have the entire little fish that bodies, everything
thing,
in it,
right.
just crispy, and you chew on it, and like those are weird. But once you have those, like a cricket's not too far removed.
I'm not a
that.
fan of the whole fish thing. I know a few places do that. I'm not a fan.
I'm not super on board with it, but it comes
There's poop
with
in those things, Brian.
Well,
what is that called?
I don't remember. I know the dish that I frequently had it in was nasi lemak, which is a fried rice.
Okay.
And it usually had little peanuts and little dried fish with that, and I just mixed it in and ate it.
Awesome. But I'm super into that.
You're on board with that one, huh?
I would definitely.
I don't know what the little dried fish though, so they're pungent. But
when I lived in New York, the fried smelt was a big
exactly. That's what I was wondering.
So that was a big thing there. You know, my dad, there was this one restaurant like once a week they did fried smelt, and my dad always wanted to go there because he would get him a basket of fried.
What do you
smelt.
think, yay or nay?
He loved them. My dad absolutely loves them. We'd go there a lot. He dug it.
Did you like it? Though?
I did not.
Oh, you did not.
Huh? No. Fishy. I didn't like the texture. You know, the crunchiness and that. Because I mean, the bones and stuff are in there. They're softer than, you know. It's not like getting a big bone, but just wasn't my cup of tea.
There is definitely an upper range on fishiness, and I've learned this as a result of eating some interesting tinned seafoods with some cheeses, and I realized that I have a threshold, an upper threshold.
You're talking about
for fish.
You're talking about those anchovies.
There was
an
entire one of those by itself is too much.
What are your thoughts on anchovies, Bob?
I like it, man. I like all that stuff. I was saying I use fish sauce like it's ketchup.
Okay, gotcha.
My girlfriend's not a big fan.
Like I like a really good like traditional Caesar dressing, you know, with the anchovies and all that. In it. But we recently got a new cheese shop here that's just stellar. Got, you know, all the stinky French cheese, good American cheeses, and
Swiss,
and they've got a decent section of tinned seafoods. Yeah. And I grabbed some white anchovies one day, and I think I threw like a piece of cheese and like 2 fillets on a cracker, and it almost knocked me out of my chair. I was like, "Oh my god!" And that's it was much more. I didn't realize they were that intense.
Bam,
I did not know that. Yeah.
It's there. I mean, there have only been a few things that I've tried where I'm like, "Oh, I just can't," and that was one of the things.
But something like a smoked trout dip, I'll eat it all day.
Could eat that all day.
I would tear it up. Yeah. All right. Before we get started on the last segment, is there anything we have not mentioned that you want us to make sure we covered here?
No, I think we're chugging along here. I mean, there's always a million things to talk about.
Always, yeah, definitely.
We should probably do the collaboration that was very recent. It's kind of an interesting thing.
Okay.
With the women of foam.
Oh yeah, totally.
Yeah, we should totally at least mention that, right? Okay.
Right. Sounds like a plan.
We'll get into that and then see where it goes from there, I suppose.
Sounds good. Since you know what you want to say on that, I had a question. Give me just a second here. Let me see. Look at my notes because I had a question that's escaped me. Maybe I can. Nope, that works. We can come back in with that. So perfect. Let's do it.
Do you want me to roll into it?
Sure.
Are you gonna? Okay.
Just go.
Okay.
Yeah.
Guys on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram.
Roger. What's our vector, Victor?
Now, back to the Beer Guys Radio Show.
Welcome back to the Beer Guys Radio Show. If you enjoy the show, please consider supporting us on Patreon. Just go to patreon.com/beerguys. Patrons get cool perks like Beer Guys swag and commercial-free episodes. Now we're getting back to Foam Brewers, and I'm going to launch right into something I want to talk about.
Go for it, Brian. Make it happen.
A recent collaboration of yours with the women of Foam. I believe it's on an amber ale, which I think you teased was the first time you've ever brewed an amber ale. Tell us about that.
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't necessarily a collaboration because it was all in-house, and it all started with this woman, Olivia. She was a student at Middlebury College in Vermont, and she had reached out last summer about a possible internship, and we hadn't ever really taken on any interns, and took the leap and brought her on for the summer, so she got to experience what we're all about, all the brewing side of things, and then all the grape harvest, everything. And she was one of two. We had another woman actually from UVM, University of Vermont, that was also interning with her that summer. And but Olivia seemed to have a lot of interest in what we were doing and like the brewing side of things. So she asked if there was any opportunity to come on board in the future, and kept that in the back of my mind for sure. And of course, the opportunity came up. So she is not only the first woman on the production team of foam, but she is also an amazing leader in a lot of ways. And she seems to really just want to kind of take over the world, one of those types of people. And so she was inspired to kind of unite all of the women of foam, including my partner Danny Casey, who is one of my partner. One of the women of foam, the original partners, one of the five of us, and we have a lot of women just in general. Front of house, our manager of foam, Mackenzie, our GM of Deep City, Sarah, and they all got together and talked about what beer they wanted to do. So style, and they agreed it was going back and forth between a red ale and an amber ale. And I was kind of on the outskirts. I wasn't in the meeting, obviously, but it's like, oh man, it's going to be interesting. We've never done that before. And they landed on that. And it was an interesting thing because Olivia kind of took the reins. She led the whole team of women through the brew, and they decided on everything that was going into the beer, the hopping, just pretty much the entire process. And it was pretty cool to see them successfully do that together. And I think the beer is fantastic, and it's something that I never would have necessarily approached myself. It's just not something that I would think that I was really into, but I think that they really nailed it. And it's cool that they're hosting meetings now. I think it's every month they're getting together. They had a lot of positive interaction because of that from the outside. There's organizations in Vermont that reached out to Olivia and are trying to set up collaborations for women on that side. And it's an awesome thing. And it's cool to have the ability to have that for her to have that platform to kind of raise up the women of foam and do something that they all seemingly really appreciated. And we're into.
Pretty awesome.
That is very cool. And it sounds like even though it was all internal, it really kind of was a collaboration because, I mean, they came up with it independently.
Oh, that's not how that works.
What's that?
If it's internal, it's not a collaboration.
I don't know.
Collaborative effort, maybe?
Pseudo-collaborative.
You're stretching here.
Yeah, like you said, it's a collaborative effort.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah. It's between people who perhaps aren't usually involved in the production process.
100%.
Tim.
I'll let you have that one.
Yeah,
that's fine.
It makes it even more interesting. And I think the style is inspired by the Negroni. Is that correct? And that's part of the reason I really like the idea.
I don't think it was inspired. That was a flavor profile of it.
Okay, gotcha.
There's a kind of like a bitter orange peel, kind of, there's a discernible bitterness, but not by no means is it overwhelming. But it's in the sea of soft beers, it's kind of nice to have something that is different in that vein. But again, they came up with all of the ingredients and process and everything like that, and then named the beer. They voted on it and came up with the tasting notes and everything. So
sounds like something you dig, Brian.
It does sound like something I would enjoy. I like the amber ales, and I do enjoy the bitterness.
Yeah,
so
fun.
And orange peel. Yeah.
And what?
And the orange peel. Like
orange
the
peel,
Negroni, everything
you
about
like
it.
all
Yeah,
of it.
all of it.
So, Bob, we talked about all the brands that kind of fall under under your umbrella right now, but you do have another one that you're currently working on from the mind of foam. I'll say that. But how do I pronounce this? Is it tonic?
Yeah, that's
Tonic?
exactly it.
Tonic?
Yeah. Tonic.
And
Yeah.
this is getting into a little herbals there, a little bit of cannabis.
Yeah.
beverages.
Yeah. So Todd, who I was talking about earlier, one of my partners in foam, and I, a couple years ago, decided to grow some CBD hemp. We went through the process of certifying it organic, and it was supposed to be like a fun side project. It was a lot of work, and I don't mean that in a negative way. It was hard work. I mean, farming is a difficult job, and it made me really appreciate the people that do that stuff, very much so. But anyway, that led to a value added thing, which was the creation of a beverage company, a cannabis infused beverage company. So we started out, we launched this spring with CBD, full spectrum CBD infused sparkling teas. So we have a black tea, we have a green tea, and a yerba mate, and they're all lightly sweetened with Vermont honey. And that ended up leading to applying for a THC manufacturing license in Vermont because it's legal here now, and there's a legal recreational market. So it's essentially the same thing. The water soluble CBD that goes into those teas, you can do the same thing with THC. So we were just approved on Monday for our Tier 3 manufacturing license, which is the highest level manufacturing license that you can get in the state. And we're going to be doing some pretty cool things, in my opinion, and we'll see how it goes. But it's been a wild ride, and looking forward to all of the fun creations that are going to be down the line.
I feel like THC beverages would be hard to like QC. Like you wouldn't be able to have much, and you're just gonna be like, dude, I can't do this anymore.
Yeah.
This is enough. So.
I've had so many.
The fun part with having the ability, like the flavor wise, the CBD and THC water soluble is exactly the same. So we can do the R&D without getting too loopy, I guess you could say.
You know what you're gonna get when you put the THC in there, basically.
Exactly.
Right? Okay. Yeah.
And there's a cap on it. There's a cap in Vermont too. Per serving, it's only 5 milligrams, so it's not a crazy amount.
Okay. That's, most of the people I've talked to that have done the THC beverages, they're all using it to where they want it kind of just as a mellow. It's not, exactly. I'm not looking to get just chill.
I think the goal is, at least some were stating it, the goal is to replicate the effects of a 5% alcohol beer, basically, with the appropriate amount of THC or CBD or some mixture of the two. So I think I've seen it's generally like 5 to 10 milligrams, depending on how big you want it to be. And I think 5 is really common.
Yeah, a lot. Most are 5. We're going to be focusing on sessionable THC beverages, so even lower than that. Anywhere from 1 to 3. We're still going to obviously have the 5, and a plethora of other things as well. So keep your eye out. I think it's going to be a fun project.
Interesting. I've got a friend that she's in a state where it's legalized, and she's just super hyper. She's just a very high energy person. And she mentioned that Friday evening comes around, she gets off work, she can have one of these low THC beers or drinks, one of these low THC beverages, and she'll go out for the night and have cocktails and do this and that. And she's like, the only thing it does to me is I just kind of calm down just a little bit, and I'm able to have a good night. I never get too far gone. She doesn't get cross-faded or anything. And she's like, I'm just able to relax and wind down a little bit because
that's exactly what I like to use. That it's for the wind down at the end of the night. I mean, it's going on all the time, and it's a way to ease into the evening.
Just chill. Good stuff. Bob, getting short on time here, but what else do you want? What's coming up from foam? What do people need to keep an eye out for?
Oh man, there's always so much going on. I'm really excited about the summer coming up, and just the excitement of all of that. Obviously, the patios being open, looking over the lake here in Burlington at the Adirondacks. It's pretty grand. and always exciting. We have in the summertime, again, we have Funk on the Water Beer Festival every year in the beginning of August. It's a mixed culture funky beer fest, and it's been evolving and growing every year. This past year was the best yet. It was awesome. We had 45 different breweries here, I believe, and poured through 160 different beers and natural wines, and it's a pretty cool experience. We'll be posting information on that relatively soon, yeah, who knows what the next big thing is going to be for us.
Who knows what's next? Bob,
Indeed.
Thanks so much for joining us. We really enjoyed chatting with you.
Yeah, thank you guys very much. It's been fun.
Absolutely. Well, that about wraps it up for this episode of the Beer Guys Radio Show. Make sure to come back and join us next week for more craft beer info. Follow us online. We are Beer Guys Radio on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Thanks for tuning in. Have a great week, and don't forget to drink local. Cheers. Nate, play that one more time, please. We had a cutout up here.
Oh, did we have a cutout? Oh, okay.
Yeah. Have you stopped the recording? Yeah. Then don't. No, I can work with it.
Okay. I was,
Yeah,
you know what?
Cut out right in the middle of the outro. So
I
we've
didn't see
been
that.
fighting this thing where our camera, the only way to connect it is wirelessly. We have to route sound through that and everything. And for some unknown reason, because our signal doesn't drop, that camera will drop for like 2 seconds.
Yeah, I've no. That's on my end too, right?
I haven't seen it. I haven't seen him drop though. The
'Cause you guys-
video.
I mean, you guys have cut out a few times, like
Yeah.
Okay.
Unfortunately, yes. That's one of the.
It wasn't bad. It was just briefly, but
Yeah, that's we're not sure how to fix that, to be honest with you. We're trying to figure it out. So probably more expensive equipment.
Probably.
is the
Probably.
fix there.
it's always the answer.
Yeah. Bob, hang just a second. I'm going to wrap up our live stream, but hang here with us for just a second if you don't mind. Folks, thank you so much for tuning in. We always appreciate you coming and hanging out with us. We'll be back next Wednesday, and we hope you can come join us again. Cheers.